Welcome to the Big O Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe.
Still the same damn kid from Oklahoma, same old dreams hanging off my shoulders, wishing and waiting on a shooting star for all to see.
And now your host, straight out of Oklahoma, former Buffalo Bill, Jerry Ostroski.
I'm still the same damn kid from Oklahoma.
What is going on, everybody? I am the Big O Jerry Ostroski. Once again, it is time for the Big O Show on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Thanks for joining me this evening. If you would, hit the like, hit the subscribe. As you know, it helps us out. Tell your friends. We've got a lot of momentum heading into this 2025 season. Wanted to change it up a little bit today, and I'm glad you're here to watch and experience what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, if you're on podcast form, you won't be able to really see the videos, obviously. We're going to do some videos today. We're going to get into some stuff. But first, I want to just get some basic Bills news out of the way first before we get into – I want to do a little deep dive into a couple players I got a lot of respect for that 3 players in general. 1 made the team, 2 did not, but they're on the practice squad. I want to kind of break this down, just kind of show you what it takes, the difference maybe, or the lack of a difference of making the 53-man roster and not making the 53-man roster. I'll tell you a little bit about my story, why I've got kind of a connection with one of these guys when we get to that point. But real quick, Bills news. As you know, yesterday by 4 o'clock, the Buffalo Bills had to trim their roster to 53 people, 53 players, and they released the subsequent players to get down to 53. And then today, after those players cleared waivers and all the Bills players that they released did clear waivers, they went back and signed their practice squad. Some, not surprising. A couple of names and 1 name, very surprising. So we'll get into that right now. Obviously, Frank Gore Jr. Had a really, really good preseason, was on the practice squad last year. He was released yesterday, brought back on the practice squad today, as was linebacker Jimmy Charlo. Obviously, Charlo of the Hard Knocks fame, he was kind of the guy that they really decided to spend a lot of time with. You know that story. Charlo from Army was with the Jets last year before he ruptured his ACL. Was out all year, was a late pickup by the Bills, made a really, really good impression on Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. He was brought back to the practice squad. Cornerback Jalen Kimber. Obviously, quarterback Shane Buechele, who had a tremendous final preseason game, and he was released. They kept Mitchell Trubisky as the number 2 quarterback. Shane Buechele will come back as the emergency 3. He is on the practice squad. His primary job is to help prepare Josh Allen for the game that week, and then also run the other team's scout looks for the defense. Wide receiver Steven Gosnell, and then one of my favorites was also brought back, and I was happy about that. Wide receiver Christian Wilkerson, formerly of the Patriots. I thought he had a tremendous preseason. Personally, I think he's good enough to be on this roster. Obviously, we know the problems with salary cap implications, certain players. We are keeping 6 at the present moment. I think the first 6 games of the season will kind of be a tryout for maybe Shaves, and then also Elijah Moore, or possibly if Curtis Samuels re-injures himself, maybe that kind of works its way out on its own without having to do anything. But Wilkerson, really happy that he cleared waivers. He's on the practice squad, and he will be available if the Bills need him. Tight end Kaliki Latu out of, I believe, UCLA. His brother's in the league. He's a pass rushing defensive end. Latu, I thought warranted a look on the practice squad. A lot of people are clamoring that we should have brought Zach Davidson back. honestly, Zach Davidson's been around for 5 years. We know what he's about. We've seen him quite a while. He's been on the practice squad before. I think it's kind of run its course. So it's time to look at some young talent. I think Latu's one of those guys that was worthy of bringing back on the practice squad. Offensive tackle Travis Clayton, again, part of the international situation, international player. He comes back, doesn't count for anything. Interior linemen, these two guys came in, veterans, somewhat veterans in the league, guys that have played a little bit, ended up in Buffalo this year. I thought both of them showed out really, really well. Guard center Dan Fina, and then also guard center Kendrick Green. I thought both of those guys did a good job. I thought Green was the better of the two. I thought Green was much better consistency-wise, and then also at guard than just center. And I think that when you look at Green, I thought he might make the 53, but that was anticipating that Cedric Van Pran-Granger would still be on the PUP list. Now, Van Pran-Granger signed yesterday off the PUP list to the 53-man active roster. People are like, well, he hasn't done anything. How do you sign him to the active roster? You can believe that inside, with the doors shut, he's been probably doing quite a bit over the last 2 weeks. I think that he's a guy that would help the Bills. I'm glad that he's back on the practice squad as well. Another interesting player, defensive tackle Zion Logue. Logue is a guy who's a first and second down player. Logue is tremendous against the run. And the one thing the Bills defense did this preseason, I thought, was really play well against the run. I thought the defense looked good defending and stopping the run. Logue is a guy that can get after it on first and second down. Good to have him back, experienced, understands the program, and a guy that if you have to call somebody up. Now, I know we got Jordan Phillips, okay? We can talk about that. Fourth time that Phillips signs with the Bills. He's also on the practice squad after signing, then getting released and being brought back. I have to see that. I have to see how much juice he has left. I think Zion Logue's a guy that's primarily can do the same things that Jordan Phillips does in a younger package. So we'll see how that goes. But Jordan Phillips, good to have him around, a guy that can be a positive influence on Deion Walker, help him on some things that are very similar, and not a negative that he's on this football team. Cornerback Daquan Hardy, as well as cornerback Dane Jackson. Now, I was surprised that Dane Jackson came back. And if you look at this, obviously Bean has made these choices or these picks with guys like Phillips, like Dane Jackson, and we'll talk about another one here in a second, is former vets, guys that are very well versed in NFL football, guys that are very well versed in the Bills system. And I think that having Dane to come in and maybe play a game or two is fine. If we have to hang our hat on Dane Jackson playing 6, 7, 8 games, probably not a good situation for the Bills. They went ahead and signed 2 guys yesterday that were not on the roster this preseason, and one of them was in camp. That's safety Sam Franklin. Now, obviously, our special teams coordinator has a lot of experience with him. Franklin is a dog on teams. I think he was a special teams captain down in Carolina, and a guy that played on all of them. So, bringing him in, if you have some safety issues, probably has a little experience in this defense, you can go ahead and count on him to show up and play a little bit. I think it's probably better that you brought him back than anybody else, or you signed him than bringing somebody back that you release at that position, especially with his special teams value. Then again, the other guy brought in today, signed on the practice squad, and kind of was a surprise to most. I think he was a big-time surprise to me anyway, was Jordan Poyer. You got to remember, last year they let Poyer walk for $2 million over 2 years. Nothing. No money. And yet this year, after Miami released him after 1 year, he was brought back by Brandon Beane on the practice squad as a security blanket at the safety position. Here's one thing that I think is a little bit of a misnomer, and something that we're trying to make sense of why Jordan Phillips was brought back, why Poyer was brought back. I think these guys can help somewhat as far as leadership and trying to help, Poyer coming back. Many feel that he's been brought back to help Cole Bishop. That only goes so far. I think a lot of Bishop's deal is just playing. He's been beat up. He was beat up last year, beat up earlier this year. Now that he's healthy, I thought he was exponentially better from game 2 to game 3 in the preseason. I thought he showed out very well in Tampa Bay. So why Poyer could do some things, I mean, Cole Bishop honestly will develop because he's on the field playing real games against live bullets. But Bean brought him back as part of a, leadership deal, security, whatever you want to call it. Andy talks about they brought him back like Micah Hyde. I think Micah was a little bit different situation. I think it was somewhat like that, but I also think Micah Hyde carries a big stick at One Bills Drive. He's a guy that he demands a lot of respect, and I think he's a guy was a big time leader for that team, and was part of the reason they brought him back, especially the way things had gone, recently with his release and then, getting injured and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. I do know this. I don't think he can hurt him or Phillips. I don't think he can hurt. But we know what the 2025 version of the Buffalo Bills looks like. And it looks a lot better today after practice because Khalil Shakir went out and worked out with the team today. I'm sure it was a bit of a limited situation, but he was out there practicing, doing some things. It's good to have Khalil back. And that is a positive sign as we head into the first game of the season. Now, it would be nice to know what's going to happen with Trey White. I don't think we'll know anything about Trey White until next week. I think when the media goes out there for the first week of the season, as they lead up to the game against Baltimore, that's when we'll find out what's going on with Trey White. But I don't think you should expect to hear anything until then. So yesterday, cuts made, nothing crazy. I thought everything was right in line with what we expected. Andy brings up a point that we talked about yesterday on Bill's squad. He says, really glad Zion cleared waivers, was afraid Atlanta would grab him back up. Zion had spent some time in Atlanta. They do need inside defensive line help. Obviously, Logue went ahead and cleared waivers and was not picked up by Atlanta, and he comes back to Buffalo. So, again, you're talking about a limited guy. You're talking about a first and second down guy. Now, in the old days, that was fine because you didn't have the crazy no huddle that you have now, and then you have the issues with substitution and all that stuff. It's one of those deals where nowadays with all the no huddle and everything that's being done and everything that's being played, it's hard to get guys on and off the field, and they will wait and see. So opposing offenses will see who's on the field for the other team defensively, and they will purposely not substitute so that the defense can't substitute. So if you have Logan in the game, it's probably a chance they're going to throw the ball. They do that. There's guys in the box that have binoculars, different things. They know the personnel groupings. They know who's on and off the field, and they go that route as far as what they call by personnel. And when I say what they call, I mean not substituting so that you can't substitute as a defense, because when you try to, they'll go ahead and quick run a play, and they'll get you caught with too many men on the field. So real quick, what I want to do now is shift a little bit here on the Big O Show on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Again, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're here every Wednesday night, and contemplating doing a little show change up of how what I emphasize on a weekly basis. So normally as we get towards the first game of the season, we'll do previews of the upcoming game. It'll still be a preview, but I think it'll be a little bit more specialized. Specialized in areas that I know and love and like, and hopefully it's something that you guys will enjoy. I'll let you in on it when I make that decision. I got to talk to the other two, my other two partners first before I do that. But real quick, just something I wanted to get into. I want to kind of focus on three players that one made the team, two didn't, but I still think they're really, really good players. I think they're viable players. I think they're guys that deserve to be around. I'm glad they still are around, and they're guys that I consider football players. They're guys that I consider they do things the right way, and they understand the game, And I think they absolutely busted their tails this preseason. And unfortunately, and we talked about it yesterday, by 4 o'clock yesterday, 1,184 guys lost their jobs. And some of them got called back on the practice squad today. It was a little over 500 and some that got called back on the practice squad today. If every team picked up 17. And, I feel good about that. And the reason why is because that's the journey that I took to make the NFL. It's a journey I took to become a Buffalo Bill. And when I was out of college, I was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs in the 10th round. They don't even have 10 rounds anymore. There was 12 rounds back then. And I was released first cut by the Chiefs. Then I went to Atlanta the next offseason, spent about 4 months there, and was subsequently released by the Atlanta Falcons. Came back to Tulsa, thought I was done, was working with the football program, and a man by the name of Dwight Adams showed up at Tulsa one day scouting. And if you guys know who Dwight Adams is, some of you do, some of you won't. But Dwight at the time was the college personnel director for the Buffalo Bills. Dwight and I had a very good relationship. We knew each other through college because he recruited and he scouted Tulsa. And told me when he was there, he wanted to talk to me. So I went into the office and he gave me a bunch of, kind of wore me out a little bit because they tried to sign me before I went to Atlanta, and I didn't go to Buffalo. I went to Atlanta. And after said pleasantries, he said, "Hey, we're going to probably have a practice squad spot open up in a couple weeks. If we do and everything works out, I want you to have it." I said, "Okay." So sure enough, spot opens up. They call me. I was out of state. I was actually visiting my then girlfriend, who's now my wife, up in Utah. She was working for a year, and got back home, flew out on a Monday, took a physical Tuesday morning, did a tryout on Tuesday afternoon, signed my contract Wednesday morning to be on the practice squad and practice that afternoon, and stayed in Buffalo after that basically 10 years. Never went back to Tulsa. And it's amazing how things like that work. Now, went through that season, had a really good preseason. And like others that have had good preseasons, I got released again. So I was released 3 times. They put me back on the practice squad until I was activated with 4 games left against the Miami Dolphins. Played on a Sunday night. Crazy game in Miami. There was rain, everything else. Andre Reed, big catch. We go on to win. I actually played that game, played more than a half in that game. Got a game ball and ended up starting 106 games for the Buffalo Bills and played more than that. So it's wild how things like this happen. But what I want to do real fast, I want to highlight some players that I have a lot of respect for, that they fall into that category. And I hope that the 2 that didn't make it take a big time example from the guy who did make it. And the guy that I'm going to highlight first with some video is my man Shaves. And real quick, this is a clip from the Giants game. And just real fast, it's something that he does well. And I want to highlight this, that he does well. And, Shavers brings something to the field that other Buffalo receivers do not have, other than maybe Keon Coleman, and that is just pure size. He's 6'4". He's 212 pounds. And out of college, I mean, he did some good things in the preseason. He was released 2 years in a row, was on the practice squad. He bided his time. He did his work on the practice, on the look squad for the defense, and has developed into a really good wide receiver and special teams player. This play right here, he's at the top of the screen. I know you can't see my pointer, but he's at the top of the screen on the 35-yard line. He's going to run what they call a skinny post. And if you watch him come off the ball, and I'll go ahead and get to that point, then I'll stop it. If you watch him come off the ball, Trubisky takes the snap. Shavers will release, and you'll see him right about there. He kind of makes a little small outside move. And the reason he does that is to get that cornerback to turn and kind of leverage to the outside. So with that, Shavers has won the route, because now he's going to go back in and run what they call a skinny post. He's going to run this post towards the hash marks. But he's not going to go further than the hash mark, because if you look about the 47-yard line, there's a safety sitting there. Now, there's a route that's coming underneath that holds that safety. But if Shavers was to take that all the way inside the hash marks, he brings that safety back into play and makes it a much harder throw for the quarterback. So what he does is he skinnies it up. He stays outside the hashes so that that safety can't get involved. He's got leverage on this corner by this little short outside move, and the rest is history, and this is what we get. Release, stays at the outside of the hash, catches it, gets it down inside the 10-yard line. Just a tremendous play by him. Real quick, we'll watch it again. This is the type of thing you're going to get from Shavers. We as Bills fans have been screaming and grinching and moaning for a long, long time about vertical threats. You got one. Terrell Shavers. Great job by him. So wanted to highlight that play. Another thing that Shaves is going to have to do is he's going to have to play special teams. And right here, I want you to watch the hustle. And this play right here before I play it. This is a type of play that gets guys noticed and gets guys on rosters. And if you watch this kickoff, we go ahead and kick the ball off. It's caught, and the running back is pressing this down the left numbers, okay? Shavers is actually about where the left numbers is. All right, so but watch what happens. We get a block. We lose contain. We jump inside and lose contain. Unbelievably, that reminds me of Tennessee and makes me want to vomit. But now watch what happens when this guy breaks outside and gets a play going. Look at the 40-yard line. Right at the top of the 40-yard line, right in the middle of all those guys is number 80. He was all the way on the left side of the field. Now he's going to bust his tail across the field, and watch who makes this tackle. Terrell Shavers. Those plays get you noticed. Those plays not only get you noticed by the coaches and the staff and the general manager, they also get you noticed by your teammates. And when you do things like that, you build something called trust. And trust is a big deal in the NFL. I mean, you got to look at the 3 T's that go along with great teams. There's talent, which is a given, toughness, and trust. And things like this are trustworthy plays. So just wanted to show that not only is he a good receiver, he's also getting it done on special teams. And then, of course, I'd be amiss if I didn't show this play. Probably the best play across the league in all the preseason. The one-handed grab down in Tampa, and then the fortitude and the smarts to get his hip in right there when he catches that ball one-handed. Just a tremendous play. So if you take those 3 plays, you get Terrell Shavers in a nutshell. This is what he is. He's a dog. And you know what? I'll probably have dog awards this year on the Big O Show because I think there's no better term of endearment than calling a dude a dog. I mean, dogs are guys that go out and find a way to get it done. I'm proud of Shaves, man. I'm proud of him. I'm happy he's made the team, and he's my first player I wanted to highlight. Now, here's my next player I want to highlight, and that's my man Charlo. Okay, I think some of you have seen this play. If you haven't, here it is from the end zone shot. This is a kickoff to the Giants, and I believe Charlo's sitting at he's sitting at the 40-yard line. I believe he's what they would call. If you're looking from the kicker to the end zone, he would be R2. I don't know if he's R2 or he's L2, but he's towards the inside of the field, and you'll see him here in a moment. Plays that get you noticed, and most of the times they're on special teams. This guy gets ahead of steam, boom. Jimmy Charlo gets leverage on that guy and gets him down. And, again, just tremendous, tremendous stuff from him. That's why he's on the practice squad. If you watch his film, you can see why possibly. I mean, he's kind of another version of Joe Andreessen, not very big. Boom. Big time. And watch this. It's a tone setter. Plays like this are tone setters for your football team. And you're talking about juice, you're talking about energy, you're talking about excitement. Those types of plays are what gets the team fired up. And the team, if you let that thing go, was fired up. And here's another play by Jimmy Charlo, and this is him as a linebacker. And if you watch this play real quick as I run it back, he is on the right hash, and he's going to go ahead and read this, clear the blocks. He's going to scrape down the line and get a tackle for loss. So again, this just shows you his abilities as an on-the-field linebacker. Fits real well with what the Bills do. Down the line, strong tackler. And there you have it again. Fired up. Energy. It's what it's all about. And this is my last play, and I think this is one of the best hustle plays I've seen this preseason. And this is Charlo. So if you look at Charlo right now, he's on the right side, on the right hash. And watch his play right here as Tampa Bay tries to get a cheap one outside with a little swing pass. And he'll decipher it, get over there and make a play. Comes across the formation, runs, he gets slowed up, boom, fumble, crawls on the ground, covers it up, Bills football. Look at the excitement. Same thing. Watch it again. Not everybody, folks, can be the most talented guy on the field. Okay, but everybody can play with reckless abandon and great effort. And Charlo's that guy. I'm so happy he's on the practice squad because he's going to make our defense that much better, our offense that much better this season because they're practicing against him. Next guy I want to look at as we move along on the show, the guy back here on the sword. That's Frank Gore Jr., another dude that I'm extremely proud of. I thought he had a heck of a preseason. And when you look at preseason football, guys, and who makes it and who doesn't make it, you got three things. You got opportunity, and if you're on a roster, you've been given an opportunity, okay? You've got timing. You got to have the timing of the situation. The timing right now is not right for either Jimmy Charlo or Frank Gore Jr. Timing's right for Shavers. We need a receiver to step up. So the timing was right. The timing's not right for Frank. We got three strong backs. That doesn't say if one of them moves on, if Johnson moves on, that he can't take that role. Okay? You got to have timing, and the other thing is, you got to have availability. You got to be on the field and you got to be playing. And as you've seen, if you're a free agent or a low round pick, the number of times they let you not be available is a lot less than the guys that are picked higher or brought in with money tied to them. Their availability opportunities are much higher than a guy that's a free agent. And Gore would be on the lower end of that, but he's available. He shows up every week, and he plays hard. Here's a play by him. Little swing pass, kind of shows you what he can do. Catches it in the flat. Nice little dead leg move. Here's the difference with Gore. Okay, right there. Not a ton of explosiveness out of that cut. Makes a great play, but as we would say in football, he's not a guy that's going to get the ball and go touch the goalpost at any time. He's a guy that he's going to be a workhorse. He's going to get his yards in smaller chunks, but a great play by him nonetheless. And the other thing he has is something that Marv Levy talked about all the time, and that was he's got great contact balance. He's a guy that stays up, doesn't bing bong around and all that. And you're going to see that with this run, which is my last video of the show. And this is the touchdown run by Gore. And you'll see this right here. Meets the linebacker, meets the D lineman, head to head in the hole. Somebody much bigger than him gets his head down, pushes him back. Offensive lineman gets in there. He gets the yard and scores the touch. One more time from him. And this is contact balance right here. When he gets hit, he doesn't fly all over the place. He keeps his feet. He stays low and drives. Fina and the boys get him into the end zone. So just some videos of some guys I wanted to show you. Dudes that I'm really proud of. Guys that I think highly of. Guys that I like because I believe they are football players. So when I look at Shaves, when I look at Jimmy Charlo, when I look at Frank Gore Jr., dogs. That's what they are. Real quick, Bub Rub, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Dorian Strong, Cornerback One Foundation. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm going to be honest with you. Give it time. I've said it from the day that he was drafted by the Bills. He was a steal. He shouldn't have been in the 6th round. He was projected second by some, but mostly like a 3rd-round guy. He's a lot like Benford. He's not going to carry guys at the top of routes. He's got a little bit of speed issues there, but he's a guy that can play the zone, and he understands what's going on. He's a good, heady player, knows the game. If you want to build up on the Dorian Strong Quarterback One Foundation like Bub, sounds good to me. So I'm all for it. But anyway, folks, This has been the Big O Show. Just wanted to give you a little history about myself, a little history about, practice squad and roster, what it takes to make it off the bubble. Wanted to highlight 3 guys that I thought did a tremendous job in camp that maybe didn't get the love that other guys got. So we got 1 week before we get the game prep week. I'm sure we'll be back on Sunday night with the Overreaction Show, myself, John Fina, and Joe Miller. And then our shows, obviously, during the week, Monday nights, the Off Tackle Show with John Fina, which I've been on the last couple weekends and might be on every weekend. I have a good time with it. On the beat yesterday, Vic Carucci. If you did not pick up that episode, it was a good time. We kind of went early and did a live reaction to the cut list that was coming out. Vic's a stud. He's an all-star. I mean, he's one of my guys. I mean, we talk about the guys in the locker room. My entire time there, Vic was there the entire time, so it was good to talk to him. And then, of course, Big O Show on Wednesday. And then once we get to the season, we'll have the walkthrough on Saturdays with Anthony Marino. So new show this year. So once again, folks, thanks again for watching. I appreciate you taking your time out of your night to watch the show. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, as always. And you know what? I'm excited about this season. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to shock some people. We're going to get after some people. It's going to be a good time. So thanks as always. We'll catch you next week on the Big O Show. Same time, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, right here on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, powered by Believe and presented by FanDuel. As always, folks, much love. Take care of yourselves. Go Bills.
I'm still the same.